Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I just love to read. I read all the time, and I get a lot of book lists on various books that are available, etc. And I ran across a list of the world's shortest books. Here are a couple of examples. How to Live Life to the Fullest, written by Dr. Jack Kevorkian. And another book, a very short book, To All the Men We Have Loved Before, by Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning, 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 morning. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Pretty sky out there this morning. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at, of course, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And right now, without further ado, we're going to call her Miss Bonneville. Here's... Hello, Gina.
Hello, and guess what I drove to work today?
Did you really take it to work?
Mm-hmm.
Don't let any gunsel park next to it and slam their doors into it.
Oh, I will be so mad, and I've got to do the VIN and title check today, and then she will be all legal, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
You know, real quick, there is nothing that makes my temper go from 0 to 120 miles an hour than to be sitting in my vehicle and in a parking lot, like at a grocery store or whatever, and have somebody drive in and just throw their doors open and hit my pickup. And honestly, there's times I thought about, well, let them search for the body for about 3 years.
Well, here's the skinny. I have my own parking spot here at the studio. I park at in the same parking spot every day. If somebody dings my car, I will know who it is, and it's got a brand new fresh paint job on it, so somebody will be repaying for that.
Oh, absolutely. And they will be probably floating down the Snake River tied to a lodge pole.
You have no idea.
Do we have a pledger?
Well, I'm going to do the pledge today, and then we've got Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Very good. All right, go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Yeah, the girl knows it. She's good. Good morning. That was a good way to start things off. Let's go to the weather real quick with Michael Rogers Weather. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, everybody. 31 beautiful degrees in Murtaugh, Idaho. Now, I do the weather every day for Zeb at the Ranch, and, you know, it gets to a point where, I mean, let's get real here, okay? I mean, let's really get real here. You got a nice day. Temperature's going to be in the 60s. But what's happening? Well, we're about a week out from spring, and this is the time of year that I just love to sit there and listen to all the stories about how most of the men in the Magic Valley of South Central Idaho want to go play golf, and they got all these excuses on not to cut the grass. Well, I'm here to tell you now, you got nice weather all the way through the weekend, chance of showers for tomorrow, okay? So if I were you, and if you want to play golf, cut the grass now. You don't have to worry about watering it tomorrow, and then you can watch NASCAR on Sunday. Then you can get it all done, and you won't have to hear it. That's my take on the weather for the weekend. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
I like that forecast. I like that thinking. And that's MichaelRogersWeather.com, the world's greatest weatherman. I think it's time to sell some cattle. Merv May, get on in here.
He gets the steer calves there here to get $1.31, $1.31, going out $30.
That's Merv May, the world's greatest auctioneer at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, along with Lance Udy and the crew. All of them waiting to serve you today. Sale time 10:30. And for more information on the sale, just give them a call at 678-9411. They got some ripping good cattle coming out of Wendell. 25 head of bred cows and first calf heifers. Don't miss that. The Shoresman Ranch up at Sublette, 100 head of yearlings coming down. P-Bar S Dairy Malta, 2 semi-loads of cows. Marty Bennett, the old bareback rider from Gooding, used to be a heck of a hand. 62 head of 600-pounders coming in. Ken Rigby out of Burley's bringing in 20 head of yearlings. Nick Trappin, holy cow, I thought he'd long passed away, but he's still alive and kicking, and a good team roper, too, over in Jerome. 20 head of yearling heifers coming in. Moo Mountain Dairy, Southridge Dairy, Eastridge Dairy, and Ward's Dairy bringing in a whole bunch of butcher cows. Sale time at 10:30. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, 678-9411. Merv, sell those steers.
All right, he gets the steer calves there here to get $1.31, $1.31, going out $32, 2.5, 3.5, 134, 4.5, 5.5, 135, 50, 135, selling $1.35. Zeb Bell, get bottom again.
I'll tell you what, at $1.35, I'd take that bottom compared to some of the other bottoms that I've sold for. Hey, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North is coming to Burley. I had him on my program last Monday, and we're going to try to get him back on again soon. It's going to be April 12th at the King Fine Arts Center at 7 p.m. Get your tickets now. Now, remember that the early bird special, you got to get those tickets before March 25th to save some money. They're $35 a person if you get the early bird special. So do that right away. Tickets are available at www.sergeantchrisworkmanscholarship.com or call 436-4149. I am really looking forward to that evening with Colonel Oliver North. Going to be very interesting. Valleywide Home and Ranch, we're going to be talking to old Steve over there later on this morning. Don't you forget Chick Day coming up next Monday the 17th. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a chick. Yeah, wrong kind of chick. They've got all the things you need for your chicks, too. And Mandy has really been ordering a lot of Ariat boots over there, men's and women's and kid sizes. They've got them all. Montana Silversmith Jewelry. And don't forget 4-H'ers. They've got everything you need for your 4-H projects over there, all the feed, etc., at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Great place to go, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see those good folks today. Well, okay. Now, some of you may take this as, I don't want to make it sound like I'm bragging about my theory possibly becoming very, very correct about that missing airliner, but it is leaning more towards what I told you many days ago on Monday, and it looks like I might have been right. And you know what? This is a situation where you don't care if you're right or wrong. You just really hope and pray that the people on board that Malaysian airliner are still alive and safe. As of this morning, earlier this morning at 5 a.m., they had quite a few different people on television talking about the plane being hijacked, possibly to a foreign country, possibly to Pakistan, as I had said, and there's a lot of worries. And then one guy earlier this morning, said exactly what we had talked about on my program yesterday, and I brought it up about using the plane for other purposes. That is a tremendous scare right now. The floating debris that supposedly was found by Chinese satellites, really, and it's great that they turned it over to us. It is great that they let us know about it and the world know about it. But the floating debris turned out to be basically nothing, and that's too bad, too. This mess, this mystery, still goes on today as we speak. And again, my thoughts and prayers go to the family members of all of the people that were on that airplane, because quite frankly, nobody knows their status as of this morning. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Go to the light. Go to the light. Well, go get the lights. Go get your incandescent light bulbs over at Ramsey Heating and Electric. They've got boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of them. I don't know how many thousand they had there, but I mean, they bought a bunch, and they're selling them to you. These are the incandescent light bulbs the government doesn't want us to have, but I bought a box. You should go get them. I'm stocking up. I absolutely am not going to be subservient to a government that's supposed to work for me. Not going to do it. Well, that's why I suggest you go in and get the 40, 60, 75, or 100-watt bulbs at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers and all your electrical needs. Stop in and see them today. I got to tell you this. Gina, get on the microphone for a minute. I got to share this story with you. Are you right there?
I'm right here.
Listen to this. Last night, we were watching, I don't know, I guess I was watching some Western movie last night, I guess it was. And at about 7:15, the phone rang, and a bright, cheery, younger male voice on the other end of the line said, "Mr. Bell, how are you tonight?" And I said, "Fine, thank you." And he said, "May I speak with you a moment regarding the re-election of Butch Walker for governor of Idaho?" I said, "No, you may not, because there isn't such a person." And this young man all of a sudden got very indignant, and he said, "Well, there certainly is, Mr. Bell. He's the governor of Idaho and has been, and he's running for re-election." And I said, "No, quite frankly," I said, "there is no such person as governor of Idaho by the name of Butch Walker. I'm sorry." And he said, "Sir, have you been sleeping like Rip Van Winkle?" And I said, "Young man, let me tell you something." I said, "Now just stop and back up, and I hope that you're not on drugs," but I said, "There is no such person as Butch Walker as governor of the state of Idaho." And I said, "How long have you been doing this job of soliciting money for his campaign?" "Well, I don't think that's any of your concern, Mr. Bell." I said, "Well, why don't you try this on for size and see if it fits? How about calling somebody and saying that you're trying to get campaign funds for Butch Otter?" And there was a long pause, like maybe he had died or something. And then all of a sudden, the phone clicked and it went dead.
Oh, my goodness. Does Butch know about this?
I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him, honestly. It's too good not to pass along that they hire these kids. Now, whether they're Boise State University kids or wherever they're from. And you ought to tell them to be a little bit more careful about who they use as a name for soliciting campaign funds.
Well, and here would be my concern. Is it a fraud?
Well, yeah, that's why, I played along. I told him, my wife, I said, we never do anything over the phone. But this kid adamantly changed his whole personality when I said, well, there is no such person. Well, yes, there is. He's been the governor of Idaho, and now he's running for re-election. I said, no, he's not. And it blew this kid's boat right out of the water.
Unfortunately, this kid doesn't know that we talk to Butch on a regular basis, and, we know him rather personally, so...
Well, I'm waiting to see the first campaign poster for Butch Walker.
Yeah, me too. And if we do find one, I will proudly post it up here.
Oh, yeah, we got to. But I thought that was, and that's one more reason why I think phone solicitation is absolutely abhorrent. And to any politician out there, I know if I were running for office, I wouldn't use it. I don't like bothering people at home in their evening. I don't like the idea of having somebody like this kid that didn't use all of his faculties to be aware of what he was talking about. I just think it cheapens the campaigns.
I think it does too, and when it comes down to campaign re-election season, I honestly would rather see the candidate and go to one of their open forums.
Absolutely.
And then donate there.
Absolutely.
Because then I know that I am actually donating to their campaign. Don't call me. I will, if I'm really interested, I will get a hold of you.
Yeah, but it's finally, what was so funny about the whole thing is that I could just picture this kid all of a sudden realizing his faux pas, and instead of saying any more, the phone just all of a sudden and went very subtly, click.
Well, and here's the thing. They have a script right in front of them.
I know it.
Who wrote the script?
You bring up another point. How many times have you had these people call and they read it like this? Hello, Mr. Bell. My name is Phil. Have you ever tried, and then they name a certain product, and they read until all of a sudden they get to a word that maybe they're not sure of, and they stop and pause, Constitution, or something like that.
I feel sorry for these kids that actually have to go through this, because then they deal with people like us, and we are so critical, and it's like, okay, you're reading from a script, number 2.
Yeah.
And then you should practice your script a couple of times before you start to call me, because I'm going to rip you apart.
And this is the thing I've taught when I had my school, my announcer school. Reading is fine, but as much as you can get away from reading, unless it's an actual script or verbiage that has to be said, read it over and then put it in your own words and ad-lib it. I don't write anything down on this program. You know that. None of my commercials are scripted. None of them.
No, the way I like to do it is bullet point it. Bullet point it. Don't give me the script. Just bullet point it, and then I can make the story my own, but still getting the facts out, as they should be. But yeah,
I don't think that in schools they teach kids enough about how to be off the cuff and impromptu and learn to fly by the seat of their wranglers.
Well, and I know that when I went to school and when I initially started in this industry, I literally wrote everything down. I mean, I scripted it out, I practiced it, and then I would get on the air and say it. And so it's taking me years to cultivate the bullet point technique. And so it takes a lot of time and practice. And for these poor kids...
Well, that's exactly...
And be solicitors. Oh, poor thing.
I used to, way back in the old days when I was just a punk kid going to the University of Minnesota and broadcasting school at Brown Institute, I sold Life magazines over the phone.
I could never do that.
You know something? I got to be honest with you. I made a ton of money doing it because I didn't stay on the script. I would just sit there and I kind of get over the fine points, and one night I started and I just looked at the script and I thought, what a bunch of bozo garbage this is. They're going to hang up on me. And so I just call people and I say, hey, Bert, how you doing? This is so-and-so with so-and-so. And, we couldn't use our real names. And I just say, hey, we're talking about Life magazine here and everything. I had a ripping good, successful 3 months selling Life magazines.
Well, and if you're yourself and you're sincere, you're going to have better success. If you are just following the script and reading what you're told to read and stopping with every period, you're not going to get anywhere.
Hey, by the way, you bring up with that last following the script and reading what you have to read. I got to tell you, after I do this commercial, you know who Sheila Jackson Lee is, don't you? She's an obnoxious congresswoman, and she's, the big black heavy-set woman. You've seen her on TV quite a few times.
Yeah.
Did she make a faux pas or what? We're going to talk about that in just a minute, so stay tuned.
Okay.
Don't forget Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley with our good friend Thomas and everybody. Oh, man, we just absolutely love it. Honest to goodness, we've been in there for our lunch bunch now for 2 months, and coming up on the 27th of March, we're going to have our next lunch bunch. Wow, have they treated us great. Wow, has the service been phenomenal. Wow, has the food been good. Wow. You can stop in anytime for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and don't forget that if you want to show them your ID and it's your birthday, happy birthday with a free Grand Slam. Holy cow, they're good folks at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Sheila Jackson Lee got up in front of her fellow peers in Congress, and she was making a case in point about our Constitution, okay? And she got up and stated, we're honored, and we've been honored to serve our Constitution here in America for over 400 years. 400 years. 400 years, Sheila? Listen, Sheila, sit down, take 2 aspirin, and relax a little bit, and then read exactly when the Constitution came into being. As a matter of fact, try this on for size, 1787, 227 years ago. Where in the world do these hypocrites, these know-nothing politicians, get away with they don't know what they're talking about?
Who wrote her script? And
What?
obviously they need to go back to history class.
Obviously. And, but there again, case in point, we talked about this the other day. Politicians, and a gentleman called and said it should be mandatory that before they can run for political office, they have to not only read the Constitution, but pass a test for it. And here, 400 years of our country and our Constitution by somebody that is basically one of the hierarchy of our leadership. That wasn't a misspeak. It was just not being educated. You're gone. Okay.
Talking to Jim McCall.
Oh, Jim's on the phone. Well, I'll be right there with him. Stand by just a second. We're going to have our old buddy Jim McCall. You know what? Why make him wait? Why make him sit on the phone and twiddle his thumbs? He's got work to do. Let's get him on the air. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Travel Lube Supply himself, Jim McCall. How are you, my friend?
Hey, good morning, Zed.
What's cooking over at Travel Lube Supply today, Jim?
Well, just want to remind everybody, get those last-minute things you need for tractors, your bolts, filters. We have all your shop supplies, any WD-40, any kind of penetrating oil, that type that you might want. If I don't have it, let me know and I'll find it for you. If you've got something real special you like, we'll get it found.
All right.
Don't forget, we've got filters up to 90% off.
Wow.
I need to get them moved.
How many filters? Now, come on now, Jim. I mean, you said you had about 2 semi-trailer loads full of them. How many filters does that equate to? I mean, are you standing behind a whole mirage of filters right now? I mean, well, how bad is it over there with those filters? You must have tons of them.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how many there is out there.
There's a man that has control of his inventory.
Yeah, let's don't go there this morning, but anyway.
And by the way, bubble ropes, too. You know, that ground, we get some more rain, and somebody's going to be out in the field all of a sudden walking to the house saying, get the bubble rope, babe, we got to pull out the tractor, right?
Yeah, it happens, darn it. Give me a call. I've got everything in stock is 10% off on the bubble rope.
Okay. And all the chain for the wheel lines, too, right?
We got all your parts you need for your sprinkler equipment. We have chain, levelers, birdies, gaskets, motors for the wheel lines. Just whatever you need to get them into shape for this coming season.
All right, 1050 West, 203 South, Hayburn, Idaho. They deliver the goods. Travel Lube Supply, 438-8730. Jim, get back to work. Doggone it, you're burning daylight, like John Wayne said.
Gotta go.
All right, buddy. See you later. Thank you. Thank you. Good guy right there, Jim McCall. Really, truly one of the nicest people I've ever had a chance to work with, and we appreciate him. It's time now for the Capital Press Ag Minute, and it is brought to you this hour by Lennox through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, a heat pump, whatever, you and your family will enjoy the comfort of Lennox Home Comfort Systems through Ramsey Heating and Electric. Here now, the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. The USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service has allocated an additional $400,000 toward eastern Idaho's pale cyst nematode eradication program to offset a funding shortfall due to prior federal budget cuts. The Idaho State Department of Agriculture last year issued a $1 million deficiency warrant to maintain the program despite a shortfall. The program faced a $400,000 shortfall for this season before the recent federal funding was approved, at the urging of Representative Mike Simpson, Republican, Idaho. TCN, a microscopic parasite that can reduce potato yields by up to 80%, was first detected in eastern Idaho in 2006. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Thank you very much, and brought to you this hour, our Capital Press, by Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Oh, I got to tell Gina this if she doesn't know it. Guess who came home last night, Gina? Super Brat.
Really?
Super Brat came home yesterday.
Honestly, I'm speechless.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about is the 18-year-old girl that sued her parents and just absolutely used all the vile and filthy language against her mom and dad because she would not adhere to their rules on curfew and when to be home and doing certain chores around the house, and took her parents to court, and the judge basically laughed at it and threw it out of court and everything. But Super Brat, which she is, there's other words I'd like to use, came home, and they interviewed, this was interesting last night, Gina. They, on Greta Van Susteren, they interviewed a very, very sharp attorney last night, and he said, be careful, be wary, and watch out. That she may be twisting and utilizing this to get her parents lulled into a false sense of security and then nail them again if she doesn't get her way. And he said the best thing to do with the parents is, okay, you want to come home, sweetheart? Here is a list, a contract, if you will, of things that you will do, things that you won't do, so that we can get along, hopefully, as a family. If you don't sign it, please go and make arrangements for a weekly rate at a Motel 6. And I agree with him. I agree with him totally that if they're going to subject themselves to having her in the house in kind of a daughter-family situation again, boy, I don't know, Gina. After everything that was said and everything she did, it'd be a real rough road to hoe.
Well, I'm assuming, and this is just an assumption on my part, that the parents are going to make her, live up to the rules of the household.
I hope so.
At least I would hope so.
I hope so. But I think the attorney was right. When she comes in that door, they should have had the document all there, signed, sealed, and ready to be delivered, that you will adhere to the following. You will have a curfew. You will not have anybody here at the house. You will not be drinking. You will, and she was notoriously known for her party girl atmosphere, getting drunk, taking things out of the house, bringing things into the house. I mean, they've got a massive cleanup campaign with this girl, and I will bet you, I'm going to bet you breakfast, that this will probably come to a screeching halt in less than a month.
Yeah. I'm reading the story, and it says that her return home is not contingent upon any financial and or other considerations. And technically, her suit has not been withdrawn from the court.
That's right. That's exactly right. I was going to get to that. And you know what else hasn't been said, really, according to what I heard from the attorney last night? Maybe it's in the story there that you're reading. I haven't heard the sitting down and saying, I'm sorry.
I'm sitting here reading, and I'm not seeing any sort of I'm sorries either.
Yeah.
I am not seeing any quotes by her saying, maybe my parents are right, and maybe I should live by their rules because, they're my parents and they're trying to do the best for me. I haven't heard or seen any sort of quote that would say that.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, babe, you're 18 years of age, and you want to go party girl, you want to do no curfew, hey, call the local Motel 6, get a weekly rate, and have at it. We'll even help you move.
Yeah. Well, and the people that she was actually living with in the interim, they were actually supporting her and her legal fees.
I find that, I don't know about you, but if they were my neighbors, I would be hard-pressed not to walk up to the guy and knock him on his keister.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
I'm glad to hear you say that. Because what that person did and what that family did was absolutely disrupt and alienate the family from trying to have any kind of a response with each other to get this settled. They jumped in, I think, where they totally were the fifth wheel and had no business doing what they did.
Exactly. If somebody is going to interfere on the way that I parent my child, you're going to get a kiss on the lips and not in a friendly way.
Oh, I tell you something. Interruptions on how you what you do with Kennedy. Other than, like if some cretin out there wants to have child abuse. I mean, we're talking about how you raise your child in your way and your respect. What you do with your child is not subject to scrutiny and or observation or criticism of anyone else because they don't possibly agree with certain things that you do. That is not their business.
No, I'm the parent. I'm the one that brought this child into this world. He is my responsibility, and so I am going to parent him the way that I see fit. It is not anybody's duty to butt in on that. Stay out of it. I am the parent. I know what is best for my child. He lives under my roof.
Knowing you, like we do, and Deanne and I respect you and your little boy, I'll just make a warning to anybody out there in Radio Land. If you ever are around Gina and her little boy, and for some unknown reason you don't like certain things that she does as a mom, and she's a great mom, let me tell you, I've been around her and Kennedy, it would be in your best interest so that you don't have a claim on your blue shield not to get involved.
Yeah, just, put a piece of duct tape over your mouth and shut up. I'm not out telling you how to parent your child. Don't tell me how to parent mine.
Yeah, but going back to this family, that basically...
you got a phone call, by the way.
Oh, okay, I'll get back to that in a minute. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Personally, I feel the parents of this young lady that needed her butt kicked a little more when she was growing up than she had, I think I would go after that guy that financed her for his attorney.
Yeah, I would too, and I wouldn't spare any charge of the light brigade, boy. I mean, I'd go after this dude in every legal fashion. I want him to wake up in the morning, and when he's standing there looking in the mirror shaving, I want him to be quivering so bad that he ends up with 37 niches on his face, because he needs to know that you're going to come after him for everything he's got.
Well, I would, and I think that's just bad, And this young lady, if I had a child that done that, first off, I'd look at myself and say, okay, where did I go wrong?
Yep.
What did I do wrong to get her with an attitude like this? Then I would change that. But like that contract, it would be ironclad. She's on probation. One screw up, you are out the door. You're on your own. You're 18. Live with it.
Yeah, and if you want to come back at Thanksgiving, be sure and bring a dish to pass.
Yes, it's not a freebie at Thanksgiving.
I'm really hard-nosed about this because, I can remember back when our kids were at home, and I had some local jokester that had the brain IQ of a bicycle spoke come up and criticize me for being so harsh and tough on my kids. Hey, listen, that's where I draw the line. Back up, Jack, and don't go there because that's none of your business.
Yeah. And when I was growing up, when I was 16 years old, I could have probably told you my mom and dad were mean and cruel and everything else. But I look back on it, and they done the best. I turned out pretty good, And I've talked to a few people and said, it's going to be tough to walk in my dad's shoes. And somebody says, well, don't walk in his shoes, just follow his path.
How do you, and this is really something that's bothering me about this whole story, how do you ever ice the cake over again to the point where you know that case is still pending? It's not been obliterated. You know that girl made some of the most hateful and vile statements ever to her mom and dad. And I know forgiveness is the way we all should live. But to put that in the past as if it never happened, not really being sure if this girl is going to honor that commitment at her 18 years of age, and you might get hit with a left cross again in the near future.
That would be hard to do.
Yep.
That'd be one of the things I'd put in the contract. That thing gets dropped and never to be brought up again.
Amen.
Or it's null and void. You're on your own.
But I think that we can sit here and criticize, and we can talk about what should have been done, could have been done, or would have been done. But the fact remains is when I looked at the mother and the father and the tears streaming down their cheeks, you could tell right away that they wanted to make reparations and have the family unit come back together again as soon as possible. And as a parent, I know that feeling, and you want to make sure that you get everything back together.
Right. And my experience, I've had some of my kids and grandkids, when I talked to them, and they didn't like what I had to say, they got mad at me, and they quit talking to me.
Yeah.
Well, one of them took about 3 years. Finally, he started talking to me again, and he says, well, everybody, why don't you get hold of them? I said, no. I said, they're the ones that got mad. They're the ones that's going to have to come back to me.
Yeah,
and they did. And when they come back to me, we settled everything, and it was fine.
Absolutely. All I can say is,
for the couple years, it was tough.
Oh boy, believe me, I know. And I'll tell you this much for this family back there: I hope and pray that everything goes well. But as the attorney last night on television said, watch your back.
No joke.
Yep. All right.
I wouldn't leave anything out anywhere.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, take care. I don't know. That'd be a tough deal right there. And this little girl with the look in her eye, what a brat. Hey, don't forget your friends at Berry Equipment and Rental at 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and their new location. Wow, this is a ripping good location. Right there on Highway 30 going into Burley, 159 West Highway 30. Oh, Nick and Rosie over there. Eli over in Twin. They've got the Coyote tractors. Oh, my. You better check them out. These Coyote tractors can do it all. I want one of those so bad. Please, Deanne. Anyway, you stop in and check out all the equipment they've got to buy, or I should say, yes, to buy and or rent. That's why they call it Berry Equipment and Rental, ready to serve you with locations again, 465 Addison Avenue West Twin and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Stop in and see the Coyote tractors today, okay? Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587.
Tip of the cup.
I did it again. I forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into this just as if we had never, ever forgot to do it this morning earlier at a time that it was supposed to happen. The tip of the cup to some of the nicest people in Magic Valley that we really appreciate their friendship and their business. How about Joel Heward over at Hanson Mortuary? A tip of the cup to Joel this morning. And then a husband and wife dynamic duo team, kind of like Batman and Robin, and they get along so good working together. Dave and Dawn Zanino, dear, dear friends of mine. And then, of course, my old buddy, the basketball official and gentleman that heads up Tires West, Randy Wynn. So there you go. Tip of the cup to those folks, and we hope they have a good day. And Gina Jameson, thank you.
You're welcome.
I forgot again. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear that Barack Hussein Obama... I could not believe this when I read this. It came to me from the Daily Caller yesterday. A good friend of ours, Neil Monroe, writes for the Daily Caller back in D.C. and New York, that President Barack Obama, listen very carefully to this first word of this sentence of this story. President Barack Obama would veto, hold on, caller, I'll be right there, would veto a GOP drafted bill that would allow legislators to take agency officials to court if they don't enforce the laws. You hear what he's saying here? Obama is threatening to veto a bill that would require administration officials to enforce the laws. In other words, this man, Barack Obama, if he doesn't like the law, or his administration doesn't like the law, they're not going to enforce the law. And they're just going to basically step aside and say, you can't make us. We're not going to sign the bill. We're going to veto it. What kind of a dictatorship is this? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, it's the kind that says, stop me, you haven't shown any effort, any will yet. And that's the reason why he does whatever he wants to do, whenever he wants. He talks about saving money and scrimping and being practical, and he spends billions going on vacations around the world whenever he feels like it. You know, I mean, there is no description of how low this guy is. That we just see, it's just like if I continued to, say for instance I was doing a remodel on your house, Deb, and every morning I came and I lied to you and your wife as I was working there, how long would you leave me there?
Randy,
after the first lie, I'd be done.
You'd probably have an armed escort to the edge of the driveway with the warning that don't let the sunlight hit you in the shade of your Wranglers going down the road, I'll tell you that.
You'd have your 12 gauge out and you'd say, you know, I'm not going to shoot you, but I'm going to put up, well, I wouldn't shoot my tires because then I couldn't leave. But, you see, it's just like the bully in school. He's going to bully you till you say, listen, I'm done. I'm finished.
Yeah, but Randy...
And you see, we don't have the political will. We don't have the savvy. I don't know, Zeb. And somehow we've got to find ourselves.
Here's the deal, Randy.
Down in Florida was a very... When we really detail what happened down there with Jolly and Sink,
yeah.
That's been a very... it's been a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Glimmer of hope, okay, fine. But the caveat is, and you know this is true, there was only one network besides Fox News that gave it any coverage whatsoever. CBS gave it a very, 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 very small story the other night that this man had won. Jolly had beaten Sink. None of the other networks carried it because it was a GOP conservative beating a dim bulb Democrat. And nobody else carried it. But here's the thing and I got to do a weather forecast here, but I want you to respond to this. This man, Barack Hussein Obama, now has elevated himself not as a president, but as a dictator, because he said that he will veto any bill or legislation that makes him or his administration enforce the law. What kind of a man have we got in the White House?
I don't know, Zeb. Hey, one of the reason I called was Senator Rush Fulcher is going to be at the King Fine Arts Center. Lawrence Denny running for Secretary of State. Jim Schmelik who's running for Lieutenant Governor. Todd Hatfield, State Controller. John Einen, Superintendent of Public Instruction. Brian Smith, for Idaho Congress 2nd District, against those two gentlemen are all going to be at the King Fine Arts Little Theater tonight. And we got to fill it. There's 300 seats. Let's fill it, please. Let's care about our country.
I agree with that. I'm glad you plugged that because I got the sheet coming up next hour. I was going to mention it. Thanks, Randy. God bless.
You bet, Zeb.
You bet. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. But right now, I'm not going to forget this. It's time for a weather update with Michael Rogers Weather, brought to you by Butte Irrigation. Oh, Bryce and the rest of the folks, they know irrigation. They can get you wet, and I'll guarantee you, they've got two great locations, 116 South, 600 west of Paul, and the brand spanking new one just a little bit north of Kimberly, right there on Kimberly Road at Red Cap Corner. I tell you what, they can really help you updating all your pivot sprinkler packages, and believe me, they've got all the equipment. They carry the complete lines of both the Senninger and Nelson sprinklers, and they got that new Nelson Purple Plate Orbiter that really, really helps get water on the ground. You check it out, and all your irrigation needs at Butte Irrigation. Paul and Kimberly, they'll get you wet. Here's Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Let's see. We've got a nice day today. How about that? We've got showers for tomorrow. How about that? And if we can pass tomorrow, we got ourselves a nice weekend. It's about that time of year now where your significant other is starting to give up all those great excuses on why not to cut the grass because he wants to go play golf because the weather's going to be nice. Get used to it. Here it comes. 59 for the high today, 57 for the high tomorrow, and temperatures will be on the cool side in the mid to upper 30s for the overnight low. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. The only weather you got.
Absolutely. There's Michael Rogers Weather, brought to you this hour by Butte Irrigation in Paul and Kimberly. They will get you wet. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Honestly, what do you folks think about this? We have an administration that absolutely says, no, wait a minute, we don't believe in this, so we're not going to enforce it. Okay, look at what they've done on our nation's immigration laws. Anything he doesn't like, Obama has waived a portion of that law. He's waived portions of our welfare laws. He's stretched our environmental laws to accommodate his policy objectives, and he's also waiving other laws that he doesn't agree with. Whoa! Stop the bus for a minute. Open the doors and windows so we can all take a breath of fresh air. He can't do that. But he is. And so that's why the GOP crafted a bill that would allow legislators to take agency officials to court. Yeah, they should, if they don't enforce the laws. Well, when they crafted this bill, little King Hussein Obama said, no, I'll veto it. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb.
Am I lying or am I telling the truth?
I'm telling you this, it's always been like that. Boehner's job is to foresee all this stuff. If it's not legal for the president and the attorney general to follow the law and enforce the law, therefore that law is null and void. I don't give a damn look in the Constitution.
Al, I can't believe that we as an American citizenry and the weak-kneed, milquetoast politicians that we've hired to go back and work for us are letting this man pick and choose like he's at a candy store what he will enforce and what he won't enforce according to the dictates of his administration.
Well, then that's up to Boehner and the House of Representatives.
But they're not doing their job, Al.
That's what I've been saying. They don't do their damn job because nobody has guts enough to stand up and do the job they was put in office for. And another thing, Mr. President, if you want to help our society and our incomes and all that stuff, put that damn Air Force One in the hangar, lock it up, and stay home for a while.
You know,
with Mr. Michelle Obama, stay home and shut your mouth.
The problems that this man incurs by poor judgment. Here we were in the middle of the Ukraine and the Crimea problem and everything else, and what does Obama do? He goes and plays golf. This absolutely is a poor reflection on his concern and his interest in his job and also the intricacies of how the United States of America is going to deal with their allies. I find this man to be so repulsive. I find his administration to be so repulsive. Here's something else, Al, while you're on the phone. And I know you have a response to this. While we sit here this morning, there is a meeting going on in Washington, D.C. called the Dietary Guidelines for Americans Committee, and these people are going to decide what is best for Al Butler, Zeb Bell, and everybody else to eat and make sure that we adhere to it. This is America?
You think that I'm going to adhere to what they want to say? No. Not when old hippie Michelle can go around and doing what the hell she wants to. I'll eat what I want, when I want, and where I want, even if it's or I back into the door.
Oh, please don't do that again.
I mean, Zeb, it's getting ridiculous. And you got people like Jackson Sheila Lee. She shouldn't even be in that office.
That's right.
And Pelosi.
But, here's what these guys are trying to do, Al, real quick. This committee is trying to sit down, and they're going to make dictates as to what crops can be grown, what we can eat or not eat. It may have very, very severe impacts on the beef industry. I mean, this is absolutely insane. The federal government making a committee as to what Americans can eat? Holy buckets. Wake up, people. They've overstepped their bounds, and we need to put them in their place.
Just ignore the damn law and do what you want, because that's what God put you on earth for.
Hey, I couldn't agree more. Al, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Yep. Folks, I used the word the other day, and I knew doggone well I'd hear some repercussions about it. I had a call on my cell phone. I said the word revolt. I said basically it's time to revolt in this country and get back to the basics of our Constitution and what this country stands for. And this guy called and railed against me for promoting revolution. You know what? I don't care. We've got to the point where we're subjecting ourselves to total tyranny and being taken over. When they form a committee to tell me what I can and can't eat and what can and can't be grown, we got problems in River City. I hear the mic, but I got to do a commercial. I'm sorry. I'll get right with you. Great big spring tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, all the tires are on sale. Oh, my goodness. Stop in and check out the tires you need for your outfit. Why, they've got the Strategy on sale, the Proxys on sale, their best Ultra Z900 on sale. They've got the tires like the Open Country AT2 on sale for your pickups and SUVs. Oh, and the best in brake service, the very best in shocks and struts, front end alignments, and batteries. It's all there. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, and of course John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Big spring tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And now with the open microphone, yes, Gina?
All I was going to say is this. What do they expect when we have a president who's not abiding by the United States Constitution, when we have elected officials lying, straight up bald-faced lying to our faces, going behind our backs and trying to take away our rights?
Amen.
What do they expect?
But I don't know how your thoughts are on this, but I'm drawing the line and saying that revolution is absolutely necessary. When they start forming committees to sit back there behind their closed doors and start dictating what America can and cannot eat, it's time to say, remember King George from hundreds of years ago? Well, you might see the same thing, buckwheat.
Well, you know, I think that everything that the government is doing is pushing the American people to stand up for themselves, which is really what we need to do anyway, because we've got elected officials who are not standing up for our rights and abiding by our Constitution.
You got it.
Do we need a revolt? Yes, we do.
All right. Hey, listen, I got to run, and I'll be back in... Boy, oxymoron, I got to run. I'll be back in about 6 minutes. Oh, there we go. Yep. Off and running. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley. And our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. We're going to have our guest on the phone in just a moment. I want to say a hearty good morning. I mentioned this man on our Tip of the Coffee Cup this morning, Joel Heward. Very, very nice man, owner-manager of Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. They always acknowledge the solemn responsibility they have, providing families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Integrity, that's what they have, and believe me, they really care. Please, all of us should get information on pre-planning of funerals to save a lot of the worry and the stress from our families. Call them today, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, serving you. While we have a moment to talk about Rupert, I also want to remind you that Dean and Todd at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, always there to serve you with the best of information and coverage on life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They serve you. Devoted to serving others, call them today at 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Well, over the river and through the woods to the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce we go. Good morning, Kay Cameron. Beautiful day. She's sitting there at her desk looking at her golf bag and saying, boy, that 9-iron should fit my hand this morning. She's ready to go.
Oh, I don't know about the golf clubs, but boy, it is a beautiful day. The sun is shining up on the mountains and on the river, and it is absolutely gorgeous.
Now, don't be honest with me for a second. I've known you for a long time. Now, when you sit in your desk and you have a perfect view of the river and the trees and the mountains, be very honest with me. Don't you just get the feeling like, I'm out of here?
Oh, pretty much every day. It's like so beautiful that who wants to be trapped in the office doing work, and you just want to be out enjoying the mountain and enjoying the water, but there's always things to do.
All right, now tell us about some of those things to do.
Well, I'll get to some of the events in a minute, but a couple things I want to talk about today is I just want to alert all of you consumers out there, all you listeners, about scams. That there's just so many things that take place today, and it's so unfortunate that people resort to that type of behavior. But the reality is it happens, and so there's just a lot of things that people can do to protect themselves and to be safe. And first of all, never give any of your information to anybody. If somebody calls and says, I'm from the bank, I need this and I need that, don't give it to them, because it's not true. The bank never calls and asks for information, and don't do that. We occasionally get alerts of different scams that take place and that are going on, and I got one from the Better Business Bureau the other day, and there's one that's going around, and you'll receive an email that says they are from a big law firm in New York, and you've been summoned, and it's a legal request, and those types of things. And don't comply. Don't listen to them. A week or two ago, they had over in Canyon County, they had a gentleman going from door to door dressed as a police officer, calling and saying that they had missed jury duty and they were being summoned to court and they needed some information.
Oh, my.
And so these things are real. They're out there. Pay attention. I know even in my email, I have to be very cautious, even from people that I know. I'll get an email that it appears that it's from somebody that I know, but you don't click on the links, because if you look at the from line, I know that it's really not from them and it's from somebody else. And, so be very cautious with your email, very cautious about giving out any information to anybody on the phone and those types of things, and just keep safe.
I am so glad you brought this up, and normally I have segments occasionally throughout the year with the Better Business Bureau up in Boise and talking about scams and everything, and there was one recently, real quick, let's talk about it, I'm almost out of time, but it had to do with an area code number that they would call and leave a message for you to call them back, and if you called, it cost like $50 or $60 a minute that went into their coffers, so don't return calls to numbers you don't know.
Absolutely. All the time people will, I hear people who, somebody calls their phone and they don't leave a message, and they'll call back and say, did you call me?
Yeah.
Don't do that. If they want to talk to you, they'll leave a message, because you just don't know. People are getting sneaky, and it's real, and they really can drain your resources. And so there's a lot of things you can do to keep yourself safe, to keep your finances safe, and to keep your business safe.
Absolutely.
It can happen to your business as well.
Now, real quick, we don't want to miss anything this morning. I've only got a minute left here, Kay. What about some of the activities coming up real fast?
Well, one of the reasons I brought this up is this weekend at, let's see, where did it go? At, oh, goodness, I had it open. Minicaja, it's called a Minicaja Scam Avoidance Class.
Okay.
At East Minico Middle School. It's Saturday from 11 to 12:30.
Okay.
And so go and you can learn more information. But also this weekend there's the Share a Little Luck Fun Run. It's a charity run. It takes off at Burley High School. The Minicaja Craft Fair. Remember, Girl Scout cookies are currently on sale. You don't want to forget about the Girl Scouts. The Historic Wilson Theater is having a fundraiser tomorrow night. Bel Cantos are having their concert this weekend. The 39 Steps is still playing out to Oakley. So lots of things going on, lots of opportunities. The St. Nicholas is having their basket dinner, dance and auction Saturday night. Go to our community calendar, see what's going on. There's just, I breeze through them, but there is a lot going on this weekend. Go to our community calendar for more information.
All right. Kay Cameron at the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce. And how does one get a hold of the Chamber of Commerce?
Come by and see us. We're located at 1177 7th Street in Hayburn on the beautiful Snake River. Give us a call at 208-679-4793. Find us on the internet at minicasiachamber.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Very well done. Kay, God bless. Good subject this morning. Appreciate it. Kay Cameron, Chamber of Commerce, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Lovely lady right there. Boy, I want to reiterate what she said, and she's 100% right. Look out for the scammers. I mean, they're out there all the time, demand credentials and everything else when they come to your door. Don't let somebody in your house, please. And when somebody calls on the phone and they need this, that, and the other thing, please just tell them to take a long walk off a short pier and hang up the phone. I mean, be careful out there. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines, and I believe we have the gentleman that heads it all up at Valleywide Home and Ranch. As a matter of fact, he is in great preparation for Chick Days that are coming up on next Monday. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a wrong kind of chick, but he is out there doing his job diligently. Steve Lakey, good morning.
Actually, you have Meredith on the phone with you today, and so you're going to be going with Meredith.
That was my next choice. Good morning, Meredith. How are you?
Morning, Zeb. How's it going over there?
Not too bad. I know that I just gave a great big build-up for Chick Days coming up next Monday. Tell us about the gazillion chicks that you're going to have available.
Well, Zeb, we've got several coming in. We look like we're going to have 1,000 on hand, and it's going to be a madhouse in here with those chicks coming in.
How much are the chicks?
They're going to be 99 cents for that 1,000 run per chick.
All right, 99 cents for the chicks. And now, okay, dumb question. What do you use for containers for these people to take them home?
We've got boxes lined up. We've got our warehouse is full of boxes ready for those chicks to be picked up and taken.
All right, so here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a chick. And the first 50 customers that spend $25 get a free T-shirt, right?
Right, exactly. And the shirts say, I pick up chicks at Valleywide.
I like that.
We're not going to lie to our people out there.
Okay, now, Meredith, tell me, too, now you've got absolutely everything to keep these little chicks growing into big chickens, right? Tell us about some of that.
Oh, we've got feeders and the waterers, and we've just got it all, and feed, and we're stocked and ready for those chicks to head out the door into good homes, and it's going to be a madhouse, like I said, Zeb.
All right,
1,000 chicks, can you imagine?
1,000 chicks. Somebody could really do a dirty deed and turn them loose all over the store and have you guys having to go get them. That would be a real mess.
Well, I was planning for them to raise them up and turn them loose in the city. There's nothing like going down the road and seeing a chicken cross the road.
There you go. And why did that chicken cross the road, Meredith?
Well, to get the Valleywide.
There you go. Good girl. Good. That's why Steve hired you. You're sharp. And along with all the Chick Days and the chick material, I understand that you got a whole bunch of Ariat boots over there too, right?
We do. We're stocked and ready to go on that too. Boots for women, men. We've also got kid ones in. They're not air out, but we've got kids in for them too.
Okay, and it's not too early because, man alive, already you're getting ready for the 4-H season, and you've got all the feed for their 4-H projects and all the material too, right?
Right, we've got dairy feed, we've got steer feed, we've got chicken feed, and turkey feed.
Now, let me ask you a question. How in the world did Steve twist your arm and tell you to do the radio interview?
Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and, it's kind of, I'm not hearing myself on the radio, so it's good for me right now.
No, you're doing a wonderful job, and here's what I want you to do. You just go right over to him after this interview's over and just tell him you want an additional $50 bill added to your paycheck because you did a wonderful job.
Thanks, Zev, and I'll let him know, but it might be a lot of paperwork on that.
All right. Valley-Wide Home and Ranch. Meredith on the phone with us this morning, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Hey, thanks for coming on the program this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Zach.
All right, thank you much. Big Chick Days, and I mean, man, they put a lot of effort into Chick Days. Next Monday on the 17th. Don't miss it. Oh, goodness. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a chick. Oh, let's go through some of our public service announcements real quick. I got to get some of these on. People are counting on the information. This weekend, the Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife will have their 12th annual Magic Valley Chapter Banquet and Fundraiser. This is really a nice deal. Very nice deal. It's the Rally for Wildlife, and you can win all kinds of prizes. They're going to have shotguns, pistols, bows and arrows, everything. It's going to be a fun deal. It's going to be Saturday, March 15th at the Canyon Crest Event Center, 330 Canyon Crest with an RZEB, 330 Canyon Crest Drive in Twin Falls. Doors open at 5:30, dinner at 6:45. Going to be very, very good. Also, my good buddy Charlie Howell told me that there's going to be a big dinner for Lieutenant Governor Brad Little down at the Blue Lakes Country Club this coming Saturday at 6 p.m. at 1940 Blue Lakes Grade in Twin. Beautiful down there. Absolutely beautiful. And if you'd like to attend, you better call right now today, 344-8683. And something else that's very important, and we had this gentleman on our program the other day, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, is going to be coming to Burley on April 12th at the King Fine Arts Center. I am absolutely really, really excited to go and listen to him and also meet him person to person. Tickets are available at www.sergeantchrisworkmanscholarship.com, and for more information call 436-4149. Now, they have an early bird special on the tickets at $35 a ticket, and that's going to come to a screeching halt on March 25th, so hurry up and get those tickets. And I want to say that all the proceeds will benefit educational scholarships, both academic and military, for the state of Idaho. So a very worthwhile project. Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, super gentleman, coming to the King Fine Arts Center on April 12th at 7 p.m. Where in the world did all these dogs come from? Woof. Man alive, I got a dachshund over there. I got a wolfhound over there. Ruby, get back in your cage over there. My goodness, my little dog's loose. Everybody's loose this morning. Get those dogs. Good morning. Do we have Ken Mort?
Actually, no, Ken is not able to join us today because he is over at the animal shelter as we speak, taking care of all of the wonderful pooches, but he wanted to make sure that we featured again today Binko. Now, Binko is about a 1.5 year male. He's a border collie cross. He's okay with other dogs and cats. He weighs in right around 42 pounds. He is available and ready for his forever home. Very, very friendly dog, and he's just wanting somebody to love.
Binko. Okay.
Yeah. And you can find him up on the Minidoka Joint Powers Animal Control Shelter Facebook page. I also posted the picture up on Zeb Bell's Facebook page. But most importantly, just get on into the shelter and check out all of the wonderful dogs that they do have up for adoption, including Binko. And the number for the animal shelter is 438-2200, or you can just give Officer Ken Mort a call, and his cell phone number is 670-7268, which, by the way, I forgot to mention yesterday, Zeb, that yesterday was Ken Mort's birthday.
Are you kidding? We neglected to talk about Sergeant Mort yesterday on his birthday.
We did. Yes, we did.
Oh, we
forgot to say derogatory things about Ken.
Well, how far can that go? Listen, here's what we need to do, though.
Okay.
Is he within the sound of our voices this morning?
Yes, he should be within the sound of our voices.
Okay, well, we're going to do things a little different, okay?
Okay.
Normally, we'd wish him a happy birthday, and everybody gets, a little gift or something to acknowledge the birthday. Not in this case. No, not at all. We do so much to help Ken, because Ken's going to the dogs, and we do so much for him that you and I are going to ask him to bring us a piece of cake and some ice cream, and he's going to do the serving. We're not going to do the serving. He's going to treat us.
That sounds like a wonderful plan. I think I'm down for that.
And by the time he gets...
Ken, bring us cake.
Yeah, by the time he gets to Murtaugh, I can imagine what that cake and ice cream would look like. Yeah.
Especially if he had a pooch in the front seat with him.
You know, I have known that guy for, gee whiz, over 40 years, I think. And I used to be his baseball coach. Did you know that?
He had mentioned that at a point in time. You know, he turned 45.
He's 45?
He's 45 years old. He's of yesterday.
All decrepit and almost an antique up on the shelf?
Yes, as his wife put it, he farts dust.
Well, I sure am glad that you were so explicit on my program exactly as to what his physical challenges are.
Well, you know, sharing is caring, Zed. Sharing is caring.
Yes, it is. And Kim Lee, get out of the barrel pit.
Exactly.
I can see that fancy little sports car just taking out 3 rows of barbed wire fence.
Well, from us to you, Ken Mort, happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday. Can we play, do you have any happy birthday music for him a day late or anything?
Well, hold on just a second, and I will pull that up here.
Okay.
And
Ken Mort's birthday was yesterday. Take him a bag of dog food.
And
there you go.
Free.
Yeah. Hey, has he got his new location all fixed up?
No, they're still working on that, and if anybody would like to volunteer, please get a hold of Ken Mort or the Animal Shelter. Again, the phone number is 438-2200.
There you go.
678-7268.
Very good. Happy birthday to a very nice guy. Now, who let all these dogs in here anyway, for crying out loud? All right, we got them captured. Holy cow. Oh, my goodness sakes. Hey, did you hear, Gina, I'm going to talk to you for a second here on this.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what your feelings are about the Democrats and how they're trying to pitch a lesser work week to the people of the United States so that they can qualify for subsidies to get on Obamacare. I find it repulsive. Now they came out with a line that by lessening your 40-hour work week, you will really be a free American.
I'm already a free American. I don't need a lesser work week to tell me that.
You know something? You know, really. Now, come on, audience. Stay with me now. Hang on to the bar. Don't let go. How dumb do the Democrats think the American public is into thinking or perceiving that working less is going to create more freedom? Actually, it's going to create more of I owe my soul to the company store.
Exactly, and I think what they're trying to do is mold us into the way the European countries do it. European countries, they you know, have a 4-day work week.
Yep.
They take long lunches. They take afternoon naps. Not that I'm against all of that, but you know, that's not the American way.
Well, I am though.
Here in America, we're workaholics. We want to succeed. We're driven, and so I don't work a 40-hour work week. I work a 60-hour work week.
I am absolutely against that because I have such contempt, and I use that word and underline it, for that way of thinking, because you're not utilizing the talents that God gave you to be the very best you can be. And to me, that's a slovenly approach to life, to lay back and think, well, I don't have to work because somebody else is going to pick up the tab. That is so offensive to me, it just reeks. She's gone.
Jerry was talking to me technical stuff there for a second.
Oh, well, tell Mr. Technocracy that it's fixed.
It's fixed.
Okay.
Yay, it's fixed.
It's fixed. Not a problem. But no, this 40-hour work week is no more. No more. We don't need it anymore. And you can be more of a free American.
Yeah, tell that to the employers.
Yeah, and we're going to be more in debt. And we're going to expect more in handouts from the federal government, and our whole society will turn into one great big mess of standing in line waiting for handouts. And I don't want to see that in this great land of the free.
I don't want to see it either. I mean, if people really want to succeed in life, they want to succeed here in the United States of America, we are about working hard.
Let me ask you, though, how many friends, and I know you won't mention names, but of all of your acquaintances and circle of friends that you have, really, what is the percentage of those that are lazy enough that they would think that's a good idea?
None.
I don't have any friends like that either.
I'm honestly, I'm like cataloging through my mind and going through all of my friend files. There's not one that would actually go along with this.
I'm looking at
hardworking.
I'm looking at most of my friends that are in agriculture, and I'm looking at people that get up at 5 in the morning and might not get back to bed until maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'm looking at people that are dedicated. I'm looking at people that want the best for their kids. They want the best for themselves. I'm looking at people that want to save a little bit and have some of the social amenities and graces that life provides through fun and maybe a vacation or two. I don't know anybody, honestly, that really adheres strictly to a 40-hour week. It's probably 60 to 70.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any of my friends that actually work less than a 40-hour work week, and I cannot think of one aside from those who are retired.
Absolutely. And then here, I'm old enough to get retired. I don't want to retire. I saw what happened to too many of my relatives, including my father, when they retired, and I don't want to have that. I don't want to be that way. I want to stay vibrant. I want to stay involved. I want to stay doing things, and quite frankly, if it wasn't for my legs, I would feel absolutely phenomenal.
So I guess the gist of this is, here in America, we are hard workers. This is what our country was based upon. We're not part-timers. We're not, I don't want to be the same as what's going on over in other European countries.
Amen.
I don't.
Amen.
I don't.
I look at France. Look at the work ethic over there. Look at Spain. Look at the work ethic over there. Look at those European folks. Oh, yeah, we might look at it and say, boy, it'd be nice to go down on the Riviera and watch all the gals in the bikinis. But hey, listen, somebody's got to pay the piper. Somebody's got to buy the bread. Somebody's got to make the car payment. And I'll guarantee you, with that kind of an attitude coming to this country, you know who's going to be left stuck with the bill? You and me, because we're still working.
And you know what? If I make enough money for my retirement, I'm going to live off my retirement, and I'm not going to give it to my kids either.
Oh, you and me both. I've got to pay some bills, and then we'll get redone. Okay. Don't forget, Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 9 to 6. And now listen, I want to talk to you about this. I got the explanation on this yesterday. Today, you need to stop in there before, actually, April 22nd. That's the deadline. And you need to get in and get your order down on your 2015 snowmobiles. That's right. Snow check. That's right. All you have to do is put $500 down on the order of a snowmobile you want. You choose your sled, your color, you choose your options, everything. Customize it to your riding style. Get in there, snow check, $500 down, and you can get it ordered the way you want it and save a lot of time and a lot of money. Oh, yes. And don't forget, right now, they've even got a lot of watercraft coming in. There's so much to do, so much to see, all the ATVs, all the dirt bikes, street bikes, everything right there at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. You better get in there today. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. See them today. Oh boy, I'll bet you that she has got her gun loaded and ready to start shooting, and that's Rita Ramsey over, of course, one of our favorite guests on Thursdays. Rita, let's work a lot less. Let's not have a 40-hour work week. Let's just kind of let the government take care of us and subsidize us. Why in the world are we so busy here on a Thursday morning when we could be lounging at home doing nothing?
Kind of makes you wonder, but I'm the kind of person who it's like I'd really rather be busy than sitting around and also be dependent on someone else, and that's what it would take. You'd have to be dependent on someone else.
Rita, when you think about this, and I know you have, and you look at the disintegration of incentive for the American public to go out and use the talents God's given you. Use every day as a gift to try to be the best you can be and create things for you and your family and enjoy life to the fullest. And we have a government, we have a president And we have a first lady that are saying, oh, take it easy. Lay back. Somebody will pay the subsidy for your health insurance, and you don't have to have a 40-hour work week anymore. Just lay in the lounge chair and watch the world go by.
Yep, it's all about control.
It is.
And they know if they can convince us that we should sit back and start being dependent on the government, they'll have control over us. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So they take away our liberty and freedom, and in exchange, we give them the control.
Okay, now, I would imagine, knowing you like I do, that if I read that story the first hour about Barack Obama is going to veto a GOP-drafted bill that would allow legislators to take agency officials to court if they don't enforce the laws, I would hate to be standing in front of you with your temper if all of a sudden you found out that they decided they weren't going to enforce the law. They're going to pick and choose whatever they want, and the president is already doing that.
Nope, that's absolutely right, and Eric Holder let the attorneys general of all the states know that they didn't have to...
That's right.
enforce laws that they didn't like. However, I did hear at the Lincoln Day banquet that our Attorney General, who is Mr. Wasden, he said, you know, when I raised my hand to the square and I put my hand on the Bible that I got when I was 8 years old, I promised to uphold the law of Idaho and the law of the land. I did not say whether I liked the law or not I would uphold it. He said, I pledged with an oath that I would uphold it. And he said, I fully intend to. And he said, it just absolutely made my blood run cold that Eric Holder would tell us that we could just enforce the laws that we wanted to, because that is not what we swore to.
Rita, this is a mess. Now, a lot of people out there think I'm being partisan against the Democrats, which I am. I don't like their policy, I don't like their platform, I don't like their ideals, and I don't like their goals. That being said, I think that they are right now a party of almost criminality. And the reason I say that is, right now this morning, Eric Holder is also doing something else that I find absolutely abhorrent to the rest of us here in the United States. He came out and said that he's going to start shortening the sentences of really bad guys that are involved in drug cartels and everything, and letting them out early.
Well, he obviously thinks he has power that nobody else has, and he can just do whatever he wants, and he needs to be stopped. This thing that you were referring to just a minute ago, that I'm guessing you were talking about Congressman Trey Gowdy,
yes,
when he exploded on that. And he said, I don't think how does going from being a senator to a president rewrite the Constitution? And he said they absolutely had to do this, even though it will probably get vetoed. They have to do it because they have to show that they need to do this, and that he says, there's a series of statements by Obama when he was an Illinois senator in which he warned the encroachment of the executive powers, and now all of a sudden those aren't important.
You know, Rita, when you think about it, and I know you have, but there's a lot of people out there that think that you and I, we get together on Thursday mornings and we cry wolf. But when you start going through the news, honestly being perceptive on your own without listening to some of these dimwits that are on ABC, CBS, and NBC and CNN, and you start really understanding the president's going to veto a bill that absolutely enforces the law, you have to sit back and wonder, since when did he become a king and a dictator? And then you read about a special behind closed doors committee called the Dietary Guidelines for America Committee that are going to start putting down in writing what you and I and others can eat and can't eat, and what American farmers can grow. Rita, this is scary.
And this is why we have to get engaged in doing some of this. After that article that was on this deal about Trey Gowdy and saying, hey, you know, you were against all of this when George Bush was the president, and he actually said, Mr. Speaker, I don't think there's an amendment to the Constitution that I've missed. I've tried to keep up with those with regularity. And so he was saying, hey, you know, there's something really wrong here. There was a person that placed a a comment on it. He said, "Who hates the Constitution more, Democrats or the GOP establishment? Aside from Gowdy and a few others, the GOP stands by and does nothing as Obama tramples the Constitution every day." And so I think that we've got a lot of insiders that are kind of like, well, we'll just let it go and we won't put up a big deal about it, and hopefully nobody else will make it look like we're just sitting here on our hands not doing anything. But, there's a number of the Congress and the Senate that are just sitting around saying, oh, well, we'll just keep still and we won't ruffle the waters and everything will be fine. And meanwhile, we're going down the toilet, and we're going to have a dictator if we don't watch out.
No, we do. We do. I disagree with you. I detest this man. I detest Barack Hussein Obama. I don't like his wife. I don't like their ideology. I don't like anything about him, because little by little, and O'Reilly is so stupid. Bill O'Reilly is a stupid man, and he's a very naive man, and he only speaks about what his handlers have basically handed him and what they have investigated. And to not get into these kind of stories about a threat to farming, a threat to our freedom, and having a board set up behind closed doors called the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, and they're going to decide what can be planted. They're going to decide what is, according to them, climate change acceptable for crops grown. We could be looking at devastating results, Frida, to where the world could be absolutely starving because of these people that have assumed control, and they're taking over our freedoms.
Well, you're absolutely right, and it's a sad day, and people have got to get engaged and start finding out what's going on and making a difference. And we need to turn back some of these people who are lukewarm and send them home and replace them with somebody that will hopefully, and you never know 100% what you're going to get, but if you have somebody who says, this is what I'm going to do, and you believe that he's honest in what he's doing and he's going to try that, it's got to be better than what we had, which was lukewarm. And right now I'm referring, of course, to Congressman Simpson, because his voting record is, according to the conservative union, or I think it's called the American Conservative Union, they gave Raw Labrador 100% vote of 100% on his votes for conservatism, and Mike Simpson got a 46. So that means 54% of the time he has canceled out Labrador's vote.
I don't understand, and you got to help me on this, Rita, because I get criticized every day for what I do say, don't say, etc. on this program, etc. But I will say one thing. I've been very critical of our people from any state that represent the constituency of the United States of America. And I think it's time that we really start to look at what they are, who they are, and how tough they are for standing up for the Constitution. You mentioned a name a minute ago of a young man that I think, from what I've read about his background and what he does back in Congress to keep people on their toes and adhere to the constitutional values, guys like Trey Gowdy are people that we really need to support.
I'll tell you something. Trey Gowdy is my hero. He needs to be the Attorney General for the country. He needs to be the Attorney General and get in there and make sure that the law is carried out according to the law and not just choosing or going against the law. The Attorney General that we have right now, he has done everything that he could to step on it and smash it and toss it underneath the bench so that nobody can find it. He does not want to go by it. He doesn't want to go by it, and he's done numbers of things around it just to thumb his finger in our face and say, I can do whatever I want to do.
Yeah. I want to mention a name to you, and I know you're a news junkie, and you're going to know right away who this is, but there's going to be a vote it could happen today. It might happen tomorrow. It might happen next week. Dr. Vivek Murthy. This man scares me as the possible appointment for the #1 doctor in the United States.
The Surgeon General.
Yes, ma'am.
He is too much of an activist for specific things to put him in a Surgeon General. It's just like, I can't even remember who was saying it. I saw it last night. Said, you know what? we need to have somebody that's in, bipartisan and wants to make sure that the things that they recommend are things that are good for America, not off on their little special interest things. And he has been too much of an activist against this and that and the other to have him in there. He is just a little radical.
A little radical. He wants to take the Second Amendment and basically trash it because he thinks, and he has put this verbiage out in front of the public, that guns, quote unquote, are a health hazard and ought to be removed. He would be absolutely the poster child for the United Nations Gun Confiscation Act.
Oh, absolutely, and that's why he better not get confirmed, and they better grow a spine back there and do like they did with the last one that they said nope, we're not going to approve them. Oh, the guy that was the defender of the cop killer back in Pennsylvania.
Rita, when you look at the situation, there's a lot of demonizing every day, every single day by the left on the MSNBC, CBS's, etc., against the Tea Party, and I wish somebody had the backbone or the spine to really call into this program right now and tell me and you the negative, what really the Tea Party has done wrong other than want adherence to the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah, I would be interested if there's somebody that actually thinks that and could cite something, because all we're asking them to do is we want our legislators and our public officers to uphold the Constitution. We want them to be fiscally responsible. We want them to make sure that they don't regulate people out of business. And I don't see what the harm in that is.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm asking for my own information on this. But when you look at the Tea Party and the structure of the Tea Party, and it is fragmented as far as not really a main figurehead or a main board of directors, etc., would the party, in your opinion, be more effective and more easy to garner memberships and people to get involved if it had more of a centralized location figurehead?
I guess there's always that possibility, but the way that I see it, we have a lot more power right now because they can't target one group and say, you're all out of here. It's kind of like, oh shoot, there's 82 groups in that little place called Idaho, and there's 4,200 groups around the rest of the nation, and we don't know which ones to go after. So I kind of think that we have a little bit more clout and a little bit more power because we're individuals and we're just expecting it of our local people and of our states and everything. And if it was all just one great big group, I think that they could probably do some convincing and really go at war against us. But this way, it's, they just say nasty stuff, kind of like Mitch McConnell says, I think we're going to crush them everywhere. I don't think they're going to have a single nominee anywhere in the country. Well, if he could go after one, he'd have it made. But because there's so many different ones, they don't.
That's a good point. We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Quickly.
Yeah, good morning. I certainly agree, but the establishment Republicans, instead of joining with the Tea Party, is still fighting against them. For example, the chairman of the Republican Party in Twin Falls County is running against one of the most conservative, pro-constitutional Tea Party people in the legislature. That's Pete Nielsen from Mountain Home. And instead of taking on the liberal Republican Rhino Rich Mills, he's taking on the conservative Tea Party person. So I've been at those meetings. The directives come right out of the Washington, D.C. Republican headquarters to do whatever you can to destroy and discourage the Tea Party people. But Rita, you're right. They can't target anybody specifically, and the fight will go on, and we're going to win because truth is on our side, and we do believe in the Constitution, and that's what they can't stand is the Constitution. I just want to make those comments.
Very good point. Very good point, Adrian, and I appreciate that. Oh, by the way, Adrian, thank you for your call. Rita, before I go to Michael Rogers' weather, I absolutely know you had to have heard the comment by Sheila Jackson Lee. Go ahead and give me your interpretation of her stupidity.
I think she doesn't know her history very well because she thinks that the Constitution's been around for 400 years. Now, can you even imagine her getting up and saying something like that? And she's actually a Yale University graduate. It's kind of like, hello, are you really stupid?
Yeah, but now, Rita, let me ask you this. The Democrats have already tried this morning to come out and feather that a little bit and say that she just merely misspoke. When you listen to the content of what she said and how she said it, that wasn't a misspeak. It was just absolute ignorance on her part. I'm going to stand behind that.
Well, if she just misspoke, she certainly would have picked it up and said, oh my gosh, I didn't mean 400 years, I meant 237 years or something like that. She didn't misspeak. She just plain old grabbing out of the sky and doesn't know it well enough to know anything about it, and decided that that's what she was going to pepper somebody with while she was speaking.
Well, and quickly before I do the weather, let me ask you this. A caller called in the other day, and I agree with the caller that we almost ought to make it a kind of a class session. If they want to run for office of Senate or Congress on the national level, they need to sit down, read, review, and have a test on the Constitution before we should even think about letting them have an office back there.
Well, that's absolutely right, because every time they raise their hand in an oath, they are swearing by an oath to uphold the Constitution. And if they don't know anything about it, how in the world can they do that?
I agree. Stand by. I'll be right back with you, Rita. I got to have the weather real quick with MichaelRogersWeather.com. It's brought to everybody this hour by my favorite folks at Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. For all of your guns and ammo and accessories, believe me, they are the place. And by the way, if you want to trade in some of your firearms, nobody gives you more for your trade-in than Red's Trading Post. Number to call, 733-3546. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Let's see. We've got a nice day today. How about that? We've got showers for tomorrow. How about that? And if we can pass tomorrow, we got ourselves a nice weekend. It's about that time of year now where your significant other is starting to give up to all those great excuses on why not to cut the grass because he wants to go play golf because the weather's going to be nice. Get used to it. Here it comes. 59 for the high today, 57 for the high tomorrow, and temperatures will be on the cool side in the mid to upper 30s for the overnight low. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. The only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. You better believe it. I got to ask Gina. Gina, was that, do we have
No, that was my mistake.
You don't make mistakes.
I do sometimes.
Oh, okay. Rita, I want to ask you also real quick this morning. I made a prognostication on Monday, and I said I hoped I was wrong, but it looks like more and more my prognostication ahead of many on the news is going to prove correct that the plane that Malaysian Airlines Flight 730, it looks like that plane may have been landed at Pakistan or another Muslim country, and it also looks like some of the experts are now saying maybe, like I said earlier this week, that plane may be used for some very, very serious consequences and purposes. What are your thoughts about this plane mysteriously, absolutely missing?
Well, it certainly is odd that a plane that size could just totally disappear. I mean, not a trace. There's got to be something, and I would get on that conspiracy train with you and say, I think you're right that it's gone to some other country and it was basically hijacked, whether the pilots were actually involved in it or whether there was some type of a pilot person who knew exactly what they needed to do to cut the communications off and so that they could do that. But I kind of think with you, because there just has not been any sign that it crashed.
You know, and this really, Rita, when you think about it, and I said this yesterday on my program, it's a no-win situation in any direction of this solving of this mystery. Whether the plane crashed, that again, a very strong negative because of all the heartache and sorrow for the families and the victims of the entire crash. If it didn't crash, where are they now? There's no closure. They don't know if it is in a foreign country. The hijackers, what happened to the people on the flight, 229, 30 people? This whole thing just is absolutely a heinous act. If it is terrorism, this story is far from over.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I feel so horrible for those people who have loved ones that are on that plane and not having any idea what's happened or, any kind of resolve to see, we're coming to the end of it. Now we can start trying to deal with it. It's just they're up in the air and wondering, and oh my heavens, it's got to be horrible.
Absolutely. Now, before I let you go this morning, I've only got a minute left in this segment. Tell us what's going on with the Magic Valley Tea Party.
Okay, tonight we're having a forum of which we're having 6 conservative Republican candidates from Senator Russ Fulcher, Lawrence Denny, Jim Schmelik, Todd Hatfield, John Einen, and Brian Smith will be at the King's Fine Arts Center Little Theater. That's just on the east side of the King Fine Arts Center. And it's going to be a presentation where they can give us their views on any issues, and then there will be questions and answers on there. And so we'd invite anybody to come at 7 o'clock tonight at the King's Little Theater. And the one thing that I wanted to say is if you're not getting engaged and learning about what's going on with our political situation, you're just playing into the hands of the establishment because they hope that you don't pay attention. You'll just go to the voting booth and vote the same ones in that were there before and not pay attention to any of the issues or the things that they've been overlooking and should have been doing.
Absolutely well said. Rita, excellent conversation this morning. Thank you so much, Rita Ramsey. I really do look forward to Thursdays on this half hour. God bless. Have a good week. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, thanks, Zeb.
All righty. Bye-bye. Nice lady. Very well informed. Oh, I know you're thinking already, Zeb's going to start talking about food. Yes, I am. I am absolutely hungry and starving to death. Deanne's gone this morning, and I didn't even get my piece of cheese. Anyway, I'm starved. Let's go take a little trip. Let's go to some really great places to go eat when you're hungry and starving to death. How about Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley, Southern Baked Burrito, either soft shell or grilled shell. Good chicken or steak. You're going to love it. And they got the chimichangas and the nachos and the Bandito burritos. Oh, I love it. Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see them today. How about burgers, etc.? 2 locations serving you. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 North Overland in Burley. I mean, hey, you're talking about corn dogs and burritos, 99 cents after 3 p.m. Oh, yeah. And cheeseburgers and taco salads, and they got all kinds of great dinners and desserts. Oh, my, and every Sunday, shrimp dinner specials at the Burley location. Burgers, etc. Great places in Rupert and Burley. Let's head on over to Steve-O's. Oh, man, they're always busy. The food's always great at 290 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Food made the way you like it. Hot, homemade soup made fresh every day. And they got, I love this. Honestly, it's my favorite. Pork chops with salad and choice of potatoes. Oh, yes. And then they got the jalapeno burgers with lots of spicy peppers and Steve's nacho fries. I mean, no energy shortage there. You're going to love it. Friendly people, great place to eat. Steve-O's in Hayburn. Food made the way you like it. Oh, we got an addition to our staff here this morning. How about Duck Uglies? Yes, sirree, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley, right next to Barry Equipment and Rental. Oh, they got a new menu. They've got all the original burgers, but now they serve dinners as ribeye steak, New York steak, shrimp, salmon, battered cod. Oh, yes. And this is a kid and family-friendly environment. You're going to love it. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 11 to 9:30. Duck Uglies. And I'll tell you what, they serve a lot more than quackers. It's so good. And last but not least, let's also talk about the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Oh, yes. Combo meals, any burger with fries and drink. And, of course, the famous Farmer Brown burgers and the ranch burgers and all the delicious milkshakes, any flavor you want. I mean, make up your own, they'll make it for you. I'll tell you what, they're so good and so handy. They've celebrated over 56 years of serving the community. AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. And those are just a few places to go if you're hungry and starving to death. Did you have breakfast this morning?
No, I'm starving.
I told you earlier that I'm wearing a pair of Wranglers that shrunk while they were in the closet while I was in surgery, and I'm suffering through this, but I'm almost to the point right now this morning that a minute this program's over at 11 o'clock, I'm thinking about making a drastic change of clothes.
Have you been able to exhale yet?
My rib cage and the fatty little particles around my rib cage they've got Wrangler that has been embedded in the flesh.
So, never mind. I'm not even going to make the comment that I was.
It probably wouldn't be a good thing for either one of us, would it?
Probably not. Probably not.
I'm going to have to change my clothes. I haven't lost that much weight yet, and I guarantee you it's uncomfortable. Man alive. Anyway, we're going to take a little break. Come back in 6. Don't go away. Man alive, we've made it to hour number 3. Beautiful day outside. Wow. Blue skies and sunshine. I love this. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with some of our great advertisers that include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. We'll be talking to them in a minute. And also our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You know, I also want to mention to you right now real quick, if you're hungry at noon, you know the place to go, or any time for that matter. That's the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Good heavens, today the special's going to be a Greek chicken pita. Oh, that's good. That's good. With choice of potato and super salad. You're going to love it. You're going to love the atmosphere with all the sports memorabilia, the pictures and everything, and the people. Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You stop in today. Well, right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get on the telephone and run right down to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Here's Brent.
Hey, Zeb, it's Jason Lee today.
Exactly what I thought. Here's Jason.
Well, Zeb, thanks for having me on the show this morning. We've got some really good specials again, continuing on with our anniversary sales. So hurry on in. We're getting new furniture pretty much every day. So if you've been in, come check out some of the new styles. We've got a number of new Flex Steel pieces in. We've got a number of Southern Motion, some great new sectionals. Every day we've had new stuff arriving, so come on in and check out the new stuff.
You know, I got to ask you a question. You know, you say new styles and everything. Does the furniture business actually have people like maybe crowded into a little room and they just sit there and they think about designing, how they can redesign certain things? I mean, how do they keep coming up with all these different changes?
Well, that's exactly right, I guess. You know what they've got? I don't know how many people they crowd in one room, but they definitely are coming up with new designs, new fabrics, just really trying to figure out what people are looking for. And that's, you know, we try and carry a wide range of styles, so there's some for everybody in here. And then, of course, all the special orders. There's lots to choose from.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about carpet, because I've been in the store many, many times. You have got rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls of carpet. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. We have over 100 rolls of carpet stocked here in the store. We've got some really good specials. We've got a program now where we're doing 3 rooms of your choice based on 40 yards. You can do a good carpet with pad and basic installation for $6.99. You can do a better carpet for $7.99 and the best for $8.99. So some really good specials on the floor covering. Also vinyl. We've got vinyl starting at under $1 a square foot.
Wow. Okay.
So.
And then also, I like a good night's sleep, and boy, I can tell everybody, we got a brand new mattress from you folks not too long ago, and it just absolutely helped my back, helped my legs, helped me get a good night's sleep. Memory foam. Tell us about some of those mattresses.
Yeah, the True Energy. You know, the focus of this sleep collection that we have is to help you get a better night's sleep. So when you wake up, you feel more energized. You don't feel groggy throughout the whole day. You've got the energy that you need for everybody, all those hardworking people. We've got a number of different styles. We've got the pocketed coil mattresses, awesome coil unit starting some specials at $5.99. Normally a $1,200 mattress at just $5.99. We've got the memory foam, which is a hybrid. So you get your pocketed coils, you're supported from those pocketed coils, yet you get the memory foam feel for all those memory foam lovers out there.
Okay.
Great way to go, but still maintaining the support that you need for a good night's rest.
Absolutely. They can check it all out at the great big 67th anniversary sale, spectacular, that's going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Jason, good job, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me on, Zeb.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Bye.
All righty. Jason over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Really, really nice people. You know what, on Thursdays, and this segment has really taken off with a lot of interest to help promote what's happening in education in Cassia County. It's time now for School Days in Cassia County. And it's brought to you...
on the line.
Pardon me?
I'm waiting to get him on the phone.
Oh, I'll go ahead and do the commercials.
Okay.
All right. School Days in Cassia County brought to you by two wonderful businesses, and we'd like to thank A Child's World at 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley. And by the way, they've got all the spring clothes there. You better believe it. They've got the infant shoes. They got all the games. They've got everything for families right there at a family store. A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, and they always gift wrap for free. And the other sponsor of our School Days in Cassia County, Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Oh my goodness, you can save hundreds of dollars with outstanding care as you have for 14 years at the Ambulatory Surgery Center. Don't forget, life-saving colonoscopies are performed there. Call, get an appointment, 677-8888. A Child's World and Ambulatory Surgery Center bringing you School Days in Cassia County. Right now, thank you very much, Gina. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines, and we have with us a math teacher at Burley High School, and he's going to talk all about the district math curriculum. Oh, my goodness, Mr. Tim Gunderson, you are talking to the worst math student that ever came out of Wisconsin. I'm beyond help.
It's never too late, Zeb. Just let us know what we can do.
Believe me, Tim, I wouldn't last in your class for 5 minutes. You would give me the gate like a cull cow. Now, let's talk a little bit about this. Now, math was my poorest subject in high school. Math and algebra, etc. And you know, I'm not pointing the finger at the teacher and saying definitely it was Mr. Lansing's fault, but a lot of it goes back to the teacher and how the class is run and how the students are all grouped together and everything to have a successful math student. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, Zeb.
And what are you doing to discuss a new math class alignment?
Well, I will say that there's a lot of parties that have an effect on a student's math career, and certainly a teacher plays a role in that, and we also view it as parents play a role and the students themselves. And sometimes we run into trouble where we have kids misplaced in a math class. And what we've done at Burley High School and in Cassia County is we've come up with really a three-tier system of math classes where we can place kids that are more in the honors track, in that track where they belong. And then we have a track that is more your normal track or the traditional track, where I think the majority of our kids will find themselves. And that track would be taking Algebra 1 in the 9th grade with the goal of reaching pre-calculus or a couple of other classes that we offer toward the end of their high school career, like financial math or consumer math. That's probably where most of our students would be. But then we also have an allowance for students that have struggled, their skills maybe aren't up to where they need to be, and it's more of a basic track where we slow down and try to remediate those skills that those students have missed somewhere along the line.
All right, now, Tim, let me jump in here and ask a question. And I'm very blunt, and I make no excuses for that. That final class that you mentioned, is that going to cause any damage to that child's psyche, knowing that he's in the lower class because he just doesn't get it? Is that going to damage anybody's psyche?
You know, what I've seen over the years is that doesn't bother students as much as we think it might. And it doesn't bother students as much as maybe it did years ago. But students know what their math skills are. They're pretty honest about that, and they know if they need some extra help. And I think for the majority of most kids, they're going to realize that track is designed to help them remediate skills and also meet the requirements for graduation, because the state has come down with some new requirements the last few years, and that's another one of our concerns, is that students must pass geometry to graduate high school, and so that track will allow for that.
Tim, I'm from the old school. We still circled the wagons at night when I went to high school. But honestly, I felt like when I got into algebra in high school, the teacher had his favorites in the class that were always answering the questions and everything. And the rest of us that didn't quite grasp everything that we should have grasped, we were just basically also rans. And basically, we were just moved along to get along and finally get out of the class. And so you're saying that this program of maybe a 3-tier approach will actually help the students to learn it better than the old days, right?
Well, that's certainly our hope, yes. And you're right about years ago when you had students in class that just wanted to answer the question and others were left behind. We address that now in education much more than I think has been done in the past. And we're well aware of trying to catch those students that are struggling and not let them slip through the cracks. And I think you said something like move along to get along, or in other words, just moving students through the system.
Right.
That really can't happen anymore. Not the way that the state has aligned their requirements for graduation. So our goal is to get every student to a level of proficiency if possible.
Tim has and I don't know how to say this because I haven't looked at a math textbook for a long time, but has the new quote-unquote math changed so much that most of us parents wouldn't have a clue as to what's going on?
No, it hasn't. Math has been pretty much the same for hundreds or thousands of years. And sometimes the way we teach things might be a little bit different. And I know there's been some talk about the new Common Core requirements that the state of Idaho has adopted, which I will say is simply a list of standards that kids need to meet before they graduate. And there are some different techniques that teachers are trying that may be unfamiliar to parents and may seem overwhelming. But what we're doing is trying to follow the suggestion that you need to find ways to reach all kids. And so different teaching styles or different techniques might reach some of those kids that have struggled in the past.
I was one of those struggling kids in math. I didn't like math. I never cared for it. I loved English. I absolutely excelled at history, was a straight-A student. Do you find that kids today are the same way? They pick out a class or a subject that really they're good at, they really enjoy, and they have trouble in others? Or is this new concept of teaching, is it equalizing the classes?
Well, at this point, it may be too early to tell if it's equalizing. It's still true that kids often will excel in the English or history subjects, and others may excel in the math subjects. And that really goes back to brain research, where really one side of our brain is stronger than another. And it is true that Some people have more of a math, science brain, and others may have more of the English history type of brain.
Now, what about
today?
What about the math, though? I mean, how does a teacher, and believe me, he's passed away long ago, so I can go ahead and say this. My high school algebra teacher should not have been a teacher. He just basically got up in front of the classroom and made a bunch of notations on the board, and he was kind of like the teacher in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He just very monotone, and if you didn't get it, that's tough. If you did get it, that's fine. How can you make it more exciting and more teachable to get people's interest in it?
Well, that is the $64,000 question. In fact, when I talk to people and they ask about how hard teaching is, I say that if a kid is interested, teaching really is pretty easy. But the secret is how do you convince teenagers that what you're doing is important?
Yeah.
And it can't always be exciting, but I think more and more today we try to show kids the value in what they're learning and where they might use this in the future. And Zeb, I graduated in the 70s, so I had some of those same teachers too, it seems like, during that time. But hopefully we have fewer and fewer of those teachers, and that the teachers that I know and the teachers I work with at Burley High School, we are here to help kids realize their full potential. We're trying to make them better people and more educated. And I think, for the most part, teachers are a committed bunch of folks to kids.
Boy, I tell you what, I wish you a lot of luck with this. And you are the Burley High School and School District Math Curriculum Coordinator, which means they put a lot of pressure on you to make this work, right?
Well, that is true. I'm kind of on the front lines of Common Core and this new math pathway, but again, we try to do things that help kids. That's our ultimate goal, so hopefully that is the case.
Well, is there anything I've overlooked that you want to discuss on this subject? I don't want to say goodbye to you without making sure we didn't get everything covered.
No, I think that covers it from our standpoint.
Well, I want to invite you back in the future, Mr. Tim Gunderson, math teacher at Burley High School. Get back to class or you're going to have to go to the principal's office. Hurry up.
That's a fact. All right, I'd love to come back anytime.
All right, thanks much, Tim. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. That was my weakest subject. I don't know why. I never cared for it, and surprisingly enough, I mentioned that the other day on the air, and Gina said that was your worst class too, right? She's gone.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, honestly, math was my worst class.
Why? Why? What was there about it? And I'll tell you, I'll share with you mine. But what was there about math class that, from maybe an early age in grade school, why did you hate it so much?
I didn't start hating math until it came to pre-algebra and algebra.
Okay.
Very well in basic, your basic business math. I can do that really, really well. Once you get into the abstract, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Geometry I did really well because I can understand the whole application of angles and things like that.
Yeah.
But once you get into the abstract math, I hated it. And statistics, I cried when I took that college class.
Well,
I cried during the entire final.
In very simplistic terms, I guess maybe I wasn't open-minded enough. Maybe I wasn't a good enough student. Maybe I needed somebody to wake me up with a 2x4. But when X equals something or whatever, I thought, why can't X speak for himself and tell everybody what he equals? I mean,
I know, X plus Y squared equals N to the 10th degree.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I don't get that. And so my parents were, at least I was fortunate enough that my parents got me a tutor. And so I had a math tutor from the time I was in 8th grade all the way through my senior year in high school.
But a lot of it,
to help me for this.
I think a lot of it, though, and you've kind of just answered my next statement, a lot of it, like Mr. Gunderson and the teaching staff, 90% of math, algebra, geometry, or whatever, I honestly believe is the teacher's presentation to the students, and not just a part of the choir, but that the whole choir can understand what's going on.
Yes. You're going to have some students who, boom, get it right off the bat. That was my brother. My brother got it right off the bat. Me, what?
Yeah.
So I needed that extra help, and unfortunately, the teacher that we had, he could not teach me in a way that was effective, and so we found me a tutor that could actually explain it in terms that I would understand. And so I even had to take math during summertime just to keep my knowledge up so I could excel in the next grade.
You know, and the thing that bothered me so much about certain teachers I had in high school, I had some wonderful teachers. My history teachers, you've already heard me talk about Mr. Robb that used to put everything in history in real life form, you know, like when we had studied the Civil War, we had half the room was the Yankees, the other half were the Confederates and everything, and we went through every battle, you know, whether it was Shiloh or whatever, and boy, you talk about retention. I loved that history course. The same way with Miss Bergtold that we had in English. But when it came to good old Norval in math and algebra, that guy was absolutely the poorest teacher I'd ever had in my life.
You know, I had some wonderful teachers in high school. Of course, English and history. And honestly, I really did love science. Mr. Zamuda was our science teacher, and he was very, very hands-on, and he put things in a fun way to where all of us got it. Even if you were smart, you would still get it. But if you weren't the smartest in the class, you were still going to get it as well. So I really, really enjoyed science because it was very hands-on and very practical. English, of course, I love because I'm kind of a big talker, but math, man, I mean, if it's not business math and if I don't have a calculator with me to do it, I have a hard time with it.
Did you notice, though, real quick, that when you were in school, it happened when I was in high school, I noticed a lot, that if you weren't in a certain clique of that respective class that seemed to be buddy-buddy up close to the teacher, you were kind of overlooked and not really given the attention to that the others got. And I think that is a sign of a very bad teacher, because once you alienate some of the students in the room or treat them like, well, they'll never get it anyway, you've lost it.
I went to a small enough school. I mean, literally, 6th and 7th grade, there was only 6 of us. Serious. By the time I got to a senior in high school, it was just me. So I had there was no way for me to be left behind or to, you know, just being a part of the clique because the school that I went to was so small. However, there were students that got it. There were other students that didn't get it. And if you didn't get it, it was hard for the teacher, especially for Mr. Forsey, because I was just the type of student that he could try and explain it to me in all the different ways that he knew. I still didn't get it, so I had to find a teacher who could teach me in a way that I would understand.
I go back to my elementary school teacher, Mrs. Kiltz. You've heard me talk about her. She is in heaven right now. I know she is, and she is teaching St. Peter everything and anything that he wants to know. She was the greatest teacher in the world. She was the most strict person in the classroom. I've got knuckles that still have swelled marks on them from her ruler, but by God, I loved her to death. And you know what? I went back, especially one time, to see my folks, and she was placed in a rest home. And I went to the rest home, and she barely remembered me, but she got a big smile on her face, and I give her a big hug. I love that lady, and I had more respect for her than any other teacher I ever had.
You know, I had a lot of wonderful teachers, but, you know, the teachers that I respected the most were the ones that I actually had in college.
I had a couple in college that were pretty good, but then again, my term in college at the University of Wisconsin was very brief. I didn't get to know them as well as I should have until I finally transferred and went up to the U of M, and then I paid for it myself. And it's funny, when you pay for your own education, it's funny how you get to know the people better.
Very, very well. I think in high school, hands down, my favorite teacher was Mr. Zamuda. He was our science teacher. Loved him to death. When it came to college, I think my favorite teacher was, and she's now a really good friend of mine, Renee Arnold, and I took, I don't know how many English classes through her, and she was the one that actually really taught me how to write and to do creative writing as well.
Oh, yeah. Now we could talk all day on that, but we can't. We've got to take a little break here, and then we're going to come back, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to talk more education with Kyle Olson with EAGnews.org. However, there are some black little stories to talk about, negative stories about education. We're going to be talking about Bill de Blasio and the stupidity that he showed closing down charter schools in New York, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and others. So stay tuned, Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be right back.
And Now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Holy buckets, I almost ran out of here and played hooky for the rest of the day. It's a beautiful day out there in the neighborhood. Mr. Rogers is taking his sweater off, but it's a nice day. Hey, before we go to our guest, I think what we'll do, Gina, is change the pace a little bit, and I think we'll have a weather update. And the weather update this hour with MichaelRogersWeather.com is brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, these people are good. Locally owned custom meat processor. They've been there for over 20 years. And quality. Quality is the key word. Quality products at reasonable rates. Selling taste one bite at a time. Scarro's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Michael Rogers with a weather update.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Let's see. We've got a nice day today. How about that? We've got showers for tomorrow. How about that? And if we can pass tomorrow, we got ourselves a nice weekend. It's about that time of year now where your significant other is starting to give up all those great excuses on why not to cut the grass because he wants to go play golf because the weather's going to be nice. Get used to it. Here it comes. 59 for the high today, 57 for the high tomorrow, and temperatures will be on the cool side in the mid to upper 30s for the overnight low. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. The only weather you got.
Thank you very much, Michael. Brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, because they sell taste one bite at a time. Absolutely excellent. Using the word excellent, that leads me right into my next guest that's been on this program many, many times, and he founded the Education Action Group back in 2007, EAGnews.org. Good morning, Kyle Olson. How are you?
I'm doing well. I would love to have that weather in Michigan. It was 4 degrees this morning.
Oh, my goodness sakes. You folks have been through an eternity of cold weather and snow and everything else. Now, what you're having right now for this time of the year, that's almost to the point of being abnormal, isn't it?
It is. We're actually below normal. 2 years ago, it was in the 70s at this time, which was above normal. But, yeah, it's supposed to be 40 degrees tomorrow, which is actually like a heat wave. So, and there's really no, it's supposed to be in the 30s next week, and so there's really no end in sight.
You know, Kyle, we could go on and on about the weather and Obama's assault with climate change, and the Northwest and the Midwest up in the northern tier, the Dakotas, my old home state of Wisconsin, you in Michigan, and many, many others. You are suffering through one of the coldest winters in mankind's history, and you can attest to the fact that it's awfully chilly back in Michigan.
It's very cold. In fact, I've been watching the Lake Michigan ice, and at one point it was Lake Michigan, which is, you know, one of the southern lakes of the Great Lakes, was 75% frozen over. Lake Superior, which is the northernmost lake, was 100% frozen over.
Oh, my.
I mean, we haven't seen this sort of weather in decades.
Absolutely.
Cold and, huge amounts of snow. We had, I think it was about 110 inches of snow this year. So hopefully it's over.
Oh, my goodness. Well, there's people in New York City that are saying hopefully this man, Bill de Blasio, will be over soon. There's a lot of people that are just absolutely disgusted with his mayoral choices of doing things. And it seems like he just doesn't like charter schools, and he put a lot of good, smart students that enjoyed charter schools basically out on the street. Tell us about what's going on back there.
Sure. Well, he is... if you think back to ACORN and what ACORN stood for, he really is the ACORN mayor. And he worked when he was, he's held other positions in the city. He was on the city council, and he was the public advocate, I think it was called, which is basically an attorney that goes out and causes trouble against businesses and stuff like that. But he worked very closely with ACORN. In fact, Bertha Lewis, who was the head of ACORN when it came down a couple years ago, she was on his transition team to become mayor. She was on his campaign team. That is the philosophy he's bringing to New York City, and so it's no surprise to see him declare war on charter schools. And the reason he's doing that is because a variety of reasons. The top reason, though, is because charter schools like Success Academies, which is a network of schools, highly successful schools in the city, they are showing up, the schools that he wants to have supported, which are the traditional government schools. And so the results don't matter. Clearly the results don't matter. And so what he's doing is he's actually taking away. They have a unique situation in New York City where, as the public system shrinks, they have vacant buildings, or they have portions of buildings that are vacant. And so Mayor Bloomberg said, why don't we co-locate a traditional school that's shrinking with a charter school, and let's allow a charter school to use some of that space. Makes a lot of sense, especially in a place like New York City where real estate's at a premium. And de Blasio now is doing everything he can to reverse that policy and make it very expensive for competing schools to operate within the city.
Let me ask you this. There seems to be a vast difference of opinion with, they're both Democrats, but Mario Cuomo, the governor, absolutely is against de Blasio's approach against charter schools. And the twixt and tween are not going to meet. Do you think that Cuomo will have more power to supersede and go over the head of de Blasio and eventually make this man change his mind?
It's possible, and my understanding is the state is looking at some remedies. New York is unique, and there's other cities like it, but the mayor actually controls the school district, and so he appoints the school board, and he has a lot of control and a lot of say in what goes on with the school district. But that being said, my understanding is that the state is talking about providing funds to charter schools to be able to co-locate, because one of the things that de Blasio is suggesting is that these schools should be forced to pay rent because they haven't paid rent to use some of the space. And so the state is countering that by saying, well, then that's fine, we'll just provide the funds so they can do that. And so it's an interesting dynamic, because as you said, it's Democrats against Democrats. But really, what it is I don't know how much I would call Cuomo a moderate, but he certainly is more moderate than the far left de Blasio. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting to see people like Cuomo, Rahm Emanuel in Chicago, others around the country finally saying, with this situation that we have with the government school system is not tolerable. We can't tolerate this anymore. And it's the fault of unions, it's the fault of poor oversight, it's the fault of lack of accountability, all of those sorts of things, lack of choice. And so they're moving in that direction, but you still have people like de Blasio who want a government-run, government-funded system, and having kids going to schools based on where they live and not providing options.
What about the kids? This could be anywhere. It could be Idaho, it could be Michigan, it could be and is in New York right now. But what about these kids? I mean, they've been thrust out of that environment, a learning environment, a happy environment. They were really getting a good education. What about the kids? Is education so callous that they really now don't care about the kids?
Well, it's an industry, and I think in places like New York and all over the country, it means jobs, it means pensions, it means a bureaucrat's control to make decisions, and it means turf, and all of those sorts of things. And I think, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, education is kind of the byproduct, and or it's kind of secondary to all of those other things. And so what we've got to do is we've got to get the education of the child and what's in the best interest of the child and the parents back in the center of the equation. And there's some people that are doing that, but unfortunately I don't think de Blasio is one of them.
Well, when you talk about the mess of education today, the public school system, they have to have egg on their face and be highly embarrassed when you hear stories about what's happened in California at a California school district where the superintendent of schools or the principal is making like $663,000 a year, and nobody knew about this until it was brought out in front of a school board meeting. I mean, what's going on here?
Well, again, it's the system has become about the adults and the pay and the benefits and the work rules and what the adults can get for themselves. I mean, on our site, I just put a blog up about the fact that Randy Weingarten, the president of the American Federation of Teachers, today is in the Ukraine protesting. Now, setting aside, what's actually happening between Russia and the Ukraine and all of that, why is an American Teachers Union president in Ukraine? Why doesn't she focus on the state of American schools and the fact that you've got places like New York City where kids are being forced to go back into failing schools? Why don't we focus our time on that instead of flying around the world worrying about other problems? But I think it's because they have an agenda that they want to push, and so that's why that sort of thing happens. But looking at New York City, remember it was maybe a couple months ago, the New York Post did an expose on a school, public school in the city that didn't have textbooks. Kids watch movies all day.
Yeah.
The principal rarely showed up. I mean, it's just a total disaster. And the mayor, you never heard one peep out of the mayor about a story like that. In fact, the Department of Education, which again he controls, they went to investigate, and they held a press conference in front of the school saying, we're issuing some recommendations about how they should change that school. So nothing will really change there. But yet a highly successful school like Success Academies, and you have to look at the numbers to believe them in terms of student achievement. But they're trying to eliminate those sorts of schools, and they will look the other way at their own schools that don't have textbooks, don't have people showing up, and those sorts of things. It's absolutely shameful.
Let me ask you, though, Kyle, this story in California, I don't know as much about it as I should. I've just followed it a little bit. But I guess a simple three-letter word sums up how I feel about this. How. H-O-W. How can this possibly happen that a school board would award a contract to this man for $663,000 and all the perks when at the same time within their district their teachers are suffering trying to figure out how to get the class utensils and material because they're paying for it out of their own pocket? Where's the overseeing of the school board and paying this man a salary of $660,000 a year?
Well, I think you're seeing it when the stories are reported and you have irate parents showing up to the school board meeting saying what you just said. But I think a big problem that is not really discussed is the lack of business knowledge that there is among many school board members in America. And this particular story is not unique. There was a situation in suburban Indianapolis a couple of years ago where a superintendent retired, and because of the terms of the language of the contract, and being able to cash out sick days and all of those sorts of things, the guy walked away with $500,000.
Oh, my.
And the reason that happens is because you've got this negotiation going on, and you have a contract that the superintendent and the school board signs, but for whatever reason, the board is not really pricing out what exactly their liability is going to be. And I think, like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with you don't have a lot of board members who can negotiate that sort of thing. They can understand long-term what those numbers are going to mean and how that fits into the big picture for their school district financially.
Yeah, but when you talk about school boards, you're talking about elected individuals from the community, and they might be a plumber, they might be an electrician, they might be a rocket scientist, they might be any number of background jobs. My question is, the school board in California, for what purpose did they purposely give this man that much money? And was there under-the-table deals? Were there cutbacks? Was there somebody that owed the company store? I mean, this is absolutely unfathomable that you would give somebody that kind of money.
Sure. And especially for the lack of results. It's hard to say why people do this. Sometimes we've looked at superintendent compensation on Long Island, And just the compensation on Long Island, New York, is pretty similar to this, actually. And the superintendents, some of them get drivers. They get huge expense accounts. It just is really eye-opening what they get. And the argument that these school districts would make to us is, well, we have a very competitive market, and there's very few people, we think should be superintendents, and therefore they claim that the price goes up. But that just seems really hard to believe, because some of these districts are not very big, and you just don't see that sort of compensation around the country. So it's hard to say if the guy's got dirt on the board, or it's hard to say. But this is why it's so critical that whether it's Tea Party members or it's people involved in taxpayer groups or whatever it is, they need to be involved in the school board and act as that oversight, as you called it, to make sure that these sorts of things are not struck. The other thing that I think is important, we just wrote about it yesterday. There's a bill in Illinois that would require these sorts of contracts, whether it's teacher contracts, any sort of public contracts, to be made available, I believe it's for 48 hours or something, prior to it being voted on, so taxpayers can see what is being proposed and hopefully can catch some of these sorts of things before they're approved.
Kyle, when I'm almost out of time, but I've got to ask you this. Is a lot of this problem with like the man in California with $663,000 contracts, and then, of course, with Randy Weingarten going over to Europe, etc., is a lot of the problem due to the fact of the strength of the teachers' unions themselves?
I think it has something to do with that. I don't know about the superintendent. I know that the union will try and use, if a superintendent is getting compensation like that, they will try and use that as leverage to get similar compensation. Obviously not in the in the 600s, but certainly to get bigger raises. But I mean, to me, the unions have called the shots for a long time in American education. And you see that, I think, with the Obama administration, and the extent to which the AFT and the National Education Association are very influential when it comes to rule making and policy making and those sorts of things.
When you look at Weingarten with $543,000 in round figures, and then you look at this gentleman in California with $663,000, that's over $1 million. $1 million, and I'm not begrudging anybody making any money or a good salary contract, but look at how a percentage of that money could have gone to really basically help the education of our kids.
Right, and these are the very same people that are lecturing us about the 1% versus the 99%. And they try and cloak themselves in the rhetoric of the 99%, when in reality, if you want to use those terms, they're in the 99 or they're in the 1%. And so the reality is we have public employees that are doing very well. They're living very well. They have very good work rules. They have very nice pensions. Annual raises and all of those sorts of things, and I think they should stop lecturing us about how good we have it when we are the ones that are paying their way.
Absolutely. Now, one final thought here. Arnie Duncan, Secretary of Education. Good job, bad job, mediocre job. What do you think of him as far as what he's done so far with the Obama administration?
Well, I think he was predictable. I mean, he has been very aggressive at expanding the role of the federal government in education, which I personally disagree with. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he's been a forceful advocate for Common Core. He's tried to pretend like the federal government was not involved in Common Core, but we're seeing that on a daily basis not be true, especially when it comes to the assessments that states are adopting.
Right.
And so on a philosophical basis, I mean, I don't like what he's doing, but I mean, you could predict it when you could see the philosophy of President Obama I mean, Arnie Duncan doesn't fall too far from that tree.
Absolutely. I always learn a lot when I talk to you, Kyle Olson, and, of course, with EAGnews.org. Thank you, Kyle. God bless you for coming on the program. Keep up the good work, and I'll call you and have you back in the not-too-distant future.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Mr. Kyle Olson from back in cold, chilly Michigan this morning. Holy cow, what did he say it was, 4 above? Woo-hoo. They have had a winter back there, let me tell you. Don't forget our friends and your friends at all the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my goodness sakes, they've got a great big spring tire sale going on right now. They've got all their tires on sale, all the different tread designs, everything like the Ultra Z900, their best all-season touring tire, over 20% more tread life, outstanding wet and dry traction, quieter riding tire. Boy, that's a good one. And how about for your pickup and SUVs, the Open Country AT2? Yeah, buddy. The best traction light tire they've got. 40% more tread life, enhanced traction, better braking. All of these tires on sale. You better not pass it up. Check out the excellent brake service, of course, at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Batteries, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, all of this and more. They're just waiting to serve you with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, Gina has her car finished. It's sitting in the parking lot over at the radio station. She has armed guards hired from down in Las Vegas, standing on each side with submachine guns. Don't touch her car.
Please don't touch my car. Please don't touch my car. Please don't touch my car.
You know, you're going to be so worried about that, and you're going to be just mentally fatigued every time you go someplace, run to the supermarket or whatever, because I guarantee you, no matter where you park, no matter how far you walk to park away from the hubbub of all the activity, some stupid person will nick your car.
You know, I wish they created some sort of security alarm system where you could have like a 10-foot radius, to where if anything or anybody comes within the 10-foot radius, a shield would come up and then alarms would like go off really, really loudly.
You know, I was thinking about your car, honestly, when I was thinking about all the times we've talked on the radio about going to the supermarket, waiting for Deanne, and watching the slovenly, sloppy attitude of shopping carts. You know as well as I'm sitting here that sooner or later there is a shopping cart with your Bonneville's name on it.
I know, and thank goodness for black touch-up paint.
Now, that's not exactly, it looks like it's a real high gloss.
It is actually a real high gloss, single-stage paint, but it went through 3 different paint processes.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's actually really, really nice. The paint is done, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to the car. So it's over time, I will get it to the top, condition that I can get it in. But I'm really happy to have her home. And this is like the first black car I've ever owned. And I'm noticing that it's going to be really hard to maintain clean because black attracts dirt.
I have a white pickup, and I don't like white vehicles. Never did like white vehicles. The only reason I have a white vehicle is because of the dirt.
Exactly. White vehicles and silver are the 2 best colors to hide dirt. Black, red, anything dark, no, you're constantly washing it.
We have a red car, and you wash it, and you get it waxed, and you get 1 speck of dirt. You can see it anywhere. You can be standing 50 yards away, and you can see that 1 speck of dirt on that car.
I know, and so I'm kind of wondering, should I keep, how a lot of the Corvette guys, they keep those car dusters with them?
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering if I should get one of those.
How would you like to have been that showcase for those antique Corvettes and then have the ground open up into a sinkhole and they were all piled on top of each other?
I know, how devastating. And some of those were some beautiful, beautiful Corvettes. A lot of them collectors. You can't find them anymore.
And there have been vehicles that I've owned I wished I could have had a sinkhole that would have opened up and had the car fall in.
I think we've all had a car like that before.
Well, I tell you what, Deanna and I are looking forward to a ride in your black Bonneville, and that is a good-looking vehicle, and I hope you have a very nice weekend.
I will, and just out of curiosity, is there any particular tune you want me to play for the out?
Today, let's see, we need to have something a little springish, a little bit outgoing, a little bit country outside, a little bit of enjoying the elements. Does that give you a clue at all? Think about it, and I'll tell you what, I'll wrap things up by saying we have got an excellent week next week with a lot of big-name people from all across the United States coming on the program, and I think you're going to find it highly interesting. And don't forget, everybody remembers what Monday is. It's St. Patrick's Day. Wear green. We'll be wearing green right here on the radio and celebrating. And, of course, we'll have our usual run of all of our great guests that come on every week, along with all of our national people, right here on Zeb at the Ranch. 12:30 a.m. on K-Bar, streaming live on the net, zebbell.com. And I want to wish you a very good weekend. It's going to be beautiful outside. Get out and enjoy some of the greatest weather in the world right here in southern Idaho. We'll see you next Monday at 8:06. God bless. The way things were are the way things ought to be.